Hello. Track 3. A really important consideration is the equipment, the tools we're going to have in our toolkit as we put together our purposeful playlist. And that's what we're going to visit today. Playlists give us an opportunity to be private if we want to be. Perhaps it's something we want to share, and definitely we want to connect. Creating this toolkit is a part of it. Now, I remember about 15 years ago, I got this incredible idea that I was going to train for a triathlon. It was in that moment that I also reminded myself, I don't think you're a good runner. The other piece was, I don't own a bike. And the third one was, I'd never learned how to swim. And so if I was going to do it, I was going to have to do all three of those things. And so I signed up first. I don't know if you've ever done that. Perhaps you've done that today. You've just signed up and we're just trying to go along and find what we have to learn along the way. Well, that's what this experience was for me. And so I went to my very first session, and what I learned quickly is having the right equipment mattered. But not just for safety, not just for experience, but also because it provided some motivation for me. As soon as I had the right gear, I started getting a bit more excited about getting ready. I enjoyed packing my bag and, going and trying the different running shoes and getting the right goggles and all the pieces that I was going to need. And I collected it over time. And as I did that, the motivation grew, but so did the actual experience for me. So today, we are going to dive in to our auditory diet. We're first going to look at what we're going to do a quick audit of what our auditory diet is today. Then we're going to get into the 6 steps for putting the right kit together. And then we're going to end today, after we do the thanks to everybody. We want to be able to answer your questions one-to-one. And I know the tech team here at the National Music Center is going to help me to ensure that you have everything you need to move forward and put your perfect toolkit together. All right. So, how do you interact with your music right now? Well, I remember the 8-track in the Cortina. I remember having the cassette player in when we went to the Pontiac. I remember that cassette player. I remember getting my first CD player that I could put in, and that was going to be one of my cars. But then it was the next one where you could do multi-CDs, like amazing. And now I have a Bluetooth. And that's throughout my lifetime. And each time I've had to adapt. I've also had a Sony Walkman. I've also been able to carry my music around on a phone. So there've been all of these experiences. So putting them together, I want you to think about over your lifetime, how have been all the different ways you've interacted with your music? One of the ways that's been really recent for me is that I've gone back to vinyl. And it started a couple of years before COVID, and I just started putting my collection together, and every time I went out and bought a really, really expensive album, I went, why did I get rid of my albums from the years past? Why did I not think I'd ever need them again? But I did. And here I am collecting them again. And you might say, Jen, that's not a playlist. That's just putting together your albums. I gotta tell you, as I'm stacking them one after the other and growing my collection again and going down memory lane and also exploring new music, I am seeing very tangibly the backdrop to my life, the personal soundtrack that has been a part of me. Next week, we're going to delve into that piece even more deeply. But today, let's assess that auditory diet. We've already done an audit of our listening habits. Now let's look at what we're listening to. I'd like us to remove this concept of music as a song for a moment and think of music as this incredible blend of sound and silence. And I'd like you to think of all the music that is happening to you in your life, all the music that is constantly playing. In the first column, and this is on page 6 in your workbook, I'd like you to identify 3 feelings you consistently have every week. So just one feeling in each box. You might choose something like happy. Maybe it's bored. Maybe it's frustrated. Or perhaps it's joy. Whatever your 3 words that you consistently have every week, put one in each box. Then I'd like you to take a minute and identify the sounds in your work or in your home that every time you hear them, they bring up those feelings in you. We're going to do this with partners. So if you could just join someone next to you or have a short conversation, I'd like you to go through your 3 feeling words and the sounds from your home or your work that bring on those feelings every time you hear them. Go ahead. So just to help us along, has anyone come up with one yet? What is one feeling matched with a certain sound? Just to inspire us. What's somebody's example? Tell me.
The sound of the water boiling for the tea.
Right? Calm. The sound of water boiling for the tea. Thank you. Anyone else have another? Does anyone have a good one for annoying? What's an annoying sound in your week? Yes?
Ticking of a clock.
Ticking of a clock. Right? Yeah. It's always going the same speed. Yeah. Right? A consistent tempo. There's also some sounds outside. Did anyone pick up something from the outdoors that has a certain feeling that goes along with it? Yeah.
Someone mowing the lawn outside while you're sleeping in on a Saturday morning.
Right? So that can fit the annoying, frustrated. Why are we looking at this today? We tend to be very visual. We tend to comment a lot on what we see, but we don't comment a lot on what we hear. And by us associating the sounds we hear to the feelings that we're having, this is how we're going to be able to look at those sound and silences with even deeper intention. It's getting that auditory cortex working and connecting it to the limbic system where we want it to be connecting. So most of these sounds, unlike what we see, we can close our eyes, if we don't want to see something. But when it comes to what we hear, it's very difficult to close off our ears. But unlike a lot of diets out there where they keep telling us we're not allowed to have certain things that we love so much, an auditory diet is something we can keep adding to. And it's in the adding to where we can bring about a bigger experience for ourselves. One of the sounds I love is the sound of rain. But there's going to be an experience about that because you're going to hear that I grew up in the Fraser Valley in British Columbia. And so the sound of rain was something I got to experience frequently. I particularly love the sound when it's going on top of an umbrella or on the roof. It gives me the sense of feeling cozy and home and safety for me. I have to say, living in Calgary now, I don't get to hear rain very often. I miss it. I probably used to complain about it, and now I miss it. Another story that goes along with that, if you're thinking about some of your childhood sounds compared to what you hear today, I was working with a couple for a very long time, and we did this exercise together. And one of the sounds that annoyed her so much was her partner tinkering around the house constantly, especially during activities where she's trying to pay attention to other sounds, either the television or the radio, and he would go around and he'd tinker. He would pass away several years later, and she said, "Jen, guess what sound I miss the most? His tinkering." Tinkering takes us back in time. It's a credible sense. All the sounds you're thinking about take you back to moments in time and your own experiences. Just with your partner quickly, have a quick conversation on what sounds bring you the most comfort. Go ahead. So I shared with you the rain. Would anyone be willing to share with me what brings you comfort? Yes.
Sounds of river flowing.
Sounds of river flowing. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
The wind on top of a mountain.
The wind on top. Have you climbed to the top of the mountain and felt the wind? Yeah, love that. Love that. Yeah. It's going to be different for all of us. For some people, it might be chimes. For some people, it might be the sound of water. For some people, it might be the sound of children playing. But it's going to be different for each and every one of us. As we put together our particular toolkit, putting together our playlist, I feel our ears have now been challenged a little bit, that we're going in with the right intention. And we're going to go over the 6 points, 6 considerations that I really feel we all need to do in order to ensure our success, not only for ourselves, but also in our quest to assist those in our life. The first one, I mean, it's pretty simple. We all know we're going to need music. Here is the reality of today. Most of that's going to happen digitally at this point. That it's going to be that we have to go to some form of streaming service and subscription service that's going to allow us to have all the access to the music that we're wanting to have. And for each of those, there's a new learning curve. How could they not all be the same? Why can they not have all the same premise? They're all so uniquely different. Well, a good news is, I guess, is on that interweb, we have a variety of places we can search and see videos and learn how to do things over and over. We can also reach out for help. I know that's hard, reaching out for help, but sometimes that's the best way. And we're giving someone an opportunity to connect with us. How bad could that be? So, finding the right service that you are going to use. Now, in regards to curating the music itself, which is part 2, this is when word on the street, if you're in the digital world, word on the street is that the desktop is so much easier than using our phones or a smaller device, a portable device. And it's an opportunity for us to be there and start curating those particular playlists together. This is when we may spend most of our time. We can also get very distracted from other things that we need to do, so I'm going to suggest not doing it in the middle of a work day, but if you can, that's great too. We need the equipment to press play. We're not always behind our desk. Since my Sony Walkman, I've become very used to making sure my music is with me wherever I go. So having the right equipment that you're going to walk around with. Now, here's where it can get complicated. Because you might like a certain device that you carry around with, but it just doesn't meld well with that curation subscription that you did. You know, sometimes things do not work well together, so we have to figure out a way that we can do that. This, again, may take some help. Number 4 is your sound source. If I was going to recommend any place you spend money, it's in what you're actually hearing the music through, the earbuds, the headphones, the speakers. This is where, during your birthday and holiday season, and people ask you, what would you like for a present this year? You can now say, instead of, no, I'm good, I've got everything I need. You can say, I really want an expensive sound source this year. Here's the list of my top 3 choices. And we can put this together and share it with others. You know, we're in the middle of painting our house. We're painting it white. We're painting it white. How hard could that be? Well, let me tell you, if 50 Shades of Grey sounded like a lot to handle for you, did you know, for real, there are 150,000 shades of white? And finding just the right one and debating with your partner about what white to paint the house is, you know, mildly annoying. When we are selecting our own sound source, it sometimes can feel this way. Lots of people are going to recommend what speaker. They're going to recommend their best headphones. They're going to recommend whether earbuds or headphones. You know what it comes down to? What you like. It means a little bit of testing. What's the most comfortable? But I want to take you quickly back to the triathlon. You need to have it and love it. You need to feel like there's joy around your equipment, because we're looking for any motivation for us to use it with deeper intention and purposefully put these playlists together. Number 5 is the goal. What is your goal? I'm hoping this series is inspiring you to go through all the diverse playlists in the workbook and find 2 or 3 that you go, yeah, that's the one I'd like to do. And it gets you excited. And you can see the goal in it, the reason why you want to do it that way. And I'm hoping it's because it's going to bring some feelings of better in your life, feeling happier, fun, some curiosity, an opportunity for you to share again, just like when you were young, and in my case with the cassette, and sharing it with my best friend and saying, I just spent 8 hours of my life to share this with you, putting together that mixtape. And of course then, the last one, it's time. Oh, sure, you can go to your streaming services and you can just pick an already curated playlist, or you can go to what someone else has shared on that particular platform, and that's great. But that's not what this series is about. This series is about you. What playlist are you putting together for yourself? What playlist are you putting together to share with others? Now, as we go through this, I recognize that as simple as it sounds, it's not always easy. And once you start getting into it, you can see just how big it is. You know, going through all the music, finding the right equipment, making sure it's accessible to you, make sure it works. I know that can be a lot. And I wanted to draw some attention during today on the symptoms of when we have sensory overload. And these are very explicit. Like, you can start feeling like you just can't focus on it any longer, or you might be feeling some stress and anxiety around it. There might be some discomfort and restlessness. I don't want to take you there. It's okay to do this in small spurts, and it's definitely okay to reach out to other people and to work with groups and people who care about you. And of course, if the triggers become too big and you get too frustrated, I want you to keep calm. There's always therapy. And I joke about that a little bit, and I mean it just as much. If at any time something is triggered, You start feeling emotionally strong about something and you know it's something you need to look at a bit more deeply. This is where mental health professionals and music therapists come into play. And as we dig deeper into this very simple playlist and recognize how it's not always going to be easy, having someone beside you might be useful and helpful. We've heard of win-win. Well, leave it to the Dalai Lama to take it one step further and put together the one win everything thought. So what that means is, yeah, I win as I'm putting together these playlists. I'm going to share them with you, and now you're winning. But it's not just win and win. Our entire connections within that can also win. Our community can win. Does anything heal a wounded world faster than music? And can we be a part of that today as we take time with music to also look at our own selves, our own well-being, and what's going to help us with our next steps so we can feel better and share it with others? That's the most important part today. I'm going to assume today in this room, you know you can go to videos, you can ask for help, you can learn some things. But I'm going to ask every person to think about all the people that you love right now and care about. Is there someone that's having difficulty accessing their music? Is there someone that might be a young person or an elder that isn't able to listen to the music when they want to? I want you to think about those people, because part of this program is not only for us to learn about it for ourselves, but to take everything we learn so we can share it with the people around us, those we love, our friends, our family. Today, I'd like us to take the resources. Here's your homework. To finish page 6 in the Wellness Well Played workbook, which is your auditory diet. Delve into your feelings. Think about all the sounds in your environment. When you walk out of here today at the National Music Center, you are going to be filled with music in every floor that you visit. And as you go outside, it's going to have a different soundtrack. Let's take a moment to really think about what we're hearing. Let's feel what we're hearing. Then I'd like you to put together the right toolkit for you. You don't have to do it this weekend. You can do it over time. But having a list of, I could use a little tweaking on that. I need to learn a little bit more about that. I want to be able to collect my music in a new way. What are other people doing? And staying curious. If you're struggling with the tech, you're going to be okay to ask for help. If you're struggling with feelings, you're going to be okay to ask for help. And we're just going to move through this world. Here's the best part, though. You're also going to be willing to give it. As soon as you learn it, you can help somebody else. And then I'd like you to consider all those people in your life and ensure they have access to music when they need it most. You can visit the NMC gift shop if you are looking for the workbook or the book to carry on with you. And next week at 11 a.m., we're going to delve into our personal soundtrack, where we're going to go from when we were wee ones up to today. And if you're looking for recordings, please visit amplify.nmc.ca. We want to thank Belle for giving all of us the opportunity to spend time together, and so we can just really spend time in the music and hopefully heal some of those wounds of the world. I would be delighted, in order to help us move forward and ensure we're crafting the very best message for you, if you would complete the survey and help us stay connected. We would love that very much. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming. If you've got other questions, I'm going to hang around for a bit. I'm here to answer. Next week's our personal soundtrack. Bring your stories, bring your memories of music. We're going to take a moment to share it. Okay, thank you.